Hey, we're live. Audio, video. How do I look? How do I sound? I don't like this camera. Oh, that's one thing I remember I don't like. There we go. I like that better. Aquatic News Network. Yay, we're all here. Discus North's in the house. Jody P's here again. Aquatic News Network's here. Jesse's here. We are all here. Except for Jose. That's all right. That's all right. I guess I got 20 hours of streaming on here. So you got your coffee. That's awesome. You guys hear me on this mic okay? Tommy told me my mic sucked earlier. Breaker 19. Can I get a radio check? How's my front door looking out there? Come on back. What up, Scuba? Got Scuba in the crib. Tommy tripping. Holy crap, guys. Look who we have. Got Jose.
Oh man, I'm telling you, this is like it happens every freaking time.
It's all good, man. It's all good. So welcome in.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Are we not live yet, are we?
Oh, we are live, baby. 100%.
Oh, all righty. Let me give me a second. Let me watch the chat if I can here. Whoever is on, I apologize because I am an old dude with a computer and it's never fun. But anyway, I think for some reason I'm not a Rumble person pretty much, but I do watch the live. Oh, sorry, here we go. You see what I mean? An old dude with a computer. Okay, let me show one of you guys. So what happens a lot of the times, I don't have comments here yet. Okay. Yeah, so eventually I work out the comments here. So anyway, I'm here. I think one of the problems that I was having was Rumble. I could watch Rumble, but then to be on studio, you need apparently a different part of Rumble, and I couldn't get that on. And so then between it was connecting the two, and then I was just between the phone. Right now I'm on the phone, not on the computer. But anyway, I'm here. So how's everybody doing? I don't know who's in the chat. I was looking earlier in the chat. I know Jesse, Jody,
Mexicali, Jody, Discus North, Sean's here.
Yeah, Sean was up. Yeah, Sean was first up. Did you see any part of Jorge's Mexicali live yesterday with Sean?
I did. I watched the beginning of it, and then I had to do something, and I had to stop. So I'm going to watch the rest of it later tonight.
Yeah, I have visitors here. My aunt was here, and I said I had to. Excuse me, guys. So I had the TV on, and I had to watch the replay from the previous live. I said, let's see how this turns out. But it turned out pretty good. I would think that was fair, because one of the things that we do say, everybody does things their own way. We all have opinions, but even if I don't agree with everything you say, Jim, but we have to respect each other. Know that we do things in different ways, and as long as we, can come together, that you do your shit your way, that's what matters,
Absolutely. I mean, we all do things a different way. That's why I always say it's your hobby, do it your way. So what I may do for my business, you may not do for yours.
Exactly. What works for me may not work for you.
Correct. I easily found out that my discus didn't like water changes as frequently as I was doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't make it very far. I ended up losing 9 total.
Wow, 9 discus. Yeah, that gets painful when when you lose that many discus. It's rough.
Well north of $500.
Listen, I think I lost probably, I would say easy $4,000 to $5,000 total in fish. My wife is playing with the camera here, so I think I lost probably about about 4,000 to 5,000. I would guess between a big pandemic in the discus tank, as I said. But that was really just me rushing through some quarantine and brought some shit in here that really killed everything. This whole time behind me with the discus and about 50% of everything else, but I was able to do with it, and you learn. And this is one of the unfortunate things in this hobby is that you do learn by errors most of the time. Hopefully, not as costly. But I have found that, as I said before, uh, Sean, does regular water changes. And one of the things that he said yesterday, and Jorge was talking about it, is that like Gabe Posada from Watley Discus, right? He does pretty much continuous water change, but he has a business and he has thousands and thousands of dollars invested in these discus. So, and they certainly are all overstocked, which he has said. Here, I'm changing water at least once a day on a continuous circuit, right? But at home, his tanks, he probably does it once or twice a week, which is once a week what I do. If I feel like it, I make it twice a week, but generally it's once a week or more. And they do fine. And I do 80%. So it may freak some people out that I do that much of a water change at one time, but it works. And it works for me again. It's like anything else.
So I do. I'm not gonna lie to you. So my discus tank is a 75-gallon tank. There's 4 discus and 1 pleco in there. I do a water change on it either once a week or every 2 weeks. It is filtered by sponge filter only.
Yeah.
And it's doing great. I mean, after I got through the initial loss, the ones that I have now are just rolling. So
Garcia,
I mean,
is that better? Yeah, Garcia was asking for camera adjustment. Is that better?
Garcia, I think, was just messing with you on that one.
I don't know. Maybe he was. I think my wife was trying to get the better angle. She's the one who's always, making all the adjustments here most of the time. She's helping me through this. So she was the one who said, "Oh shit, somebody's calling. You have replaced a quad. He's calling." I said, "Oh damn." I have been just to apologize to her, but it happens almost every time because I get involved. It's like with my limited time off, I get involved doing all kinds of stuff around here. And my daughter's birthday was back in January. All she wanted to do was to have a room painted to this Cinnamoroll. It's a cartoon character, part of that Hello Kitty thing. So so I painted the room, and I've been kind of, hanging things and organizing. So that's what I was doing right now. So then I totally lost track of time. And then it was like, a mad dash. Same thing happened with Jorge before. The first time I think I was live with him. So, and then we come to the technical issues. So anyway, I think sound is good. I'm on the phone, but I'm watching my tablet here for the comments. So as long as sound is sounding okay, then we're good.
You're sounding just fine.
Okay. How are you coming along, Jim, as far as your recovery and your health? I heard you talk earlier while I was trying to set it up. You worked hard on your...
I worked a little too hard yesterday on my physical therapy. I was doing it myself with resistance bands.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy told me, he said, "Hey, try to do at least 2 sets of 10 a day. Starting out with because I'm just starting with resistance bands."
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Are you having a pain there?
Right now. I've got just soreness. I don't have any pain. It's just soreness. I took I have 3 different color resistance bands. I have a yellow one, which is like, I think 10 pounds, a pink one, I believe 25, and I have a blue one that is 50.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow and the pink are just, it's like, it's like there's no resistance, it feels like to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I took the blue one and I did 3 sets of 20 at a time. So I pushed it a little hard. So I've got my leg really sore.
If you feel that, if at any point you're having a little bit too much, a little bit of more than soreness, just kind of take it easy, and so you don't want to push and mess anything up,
Absolutely. Oh, it's all right. It's not your fault Jose was late. I'm not gonna knock a man for a honeydew list.
Anyway, since the end, I think my second job, which is the emergency room job, I ended a contract on the 28th of December. So it's been 2 full months that I'm not doing the job. So I have all this extra time. So my wife has me kind of trapped doing shit around the house, that I generally do not have the time to do. So it's such
Absolutely.
a so there was hanging a fan on the wall, finishing up some other stuff here or there. But it's fine, between resting, which I don't do much, and then have to
Yeah,
take care of what I need to do.
that is definitely Jose's wife there, Jesse.
Yeah, Bethania and Bethany. It's Bethany and Bethania. Those are my two ladies here in the house, and the little puppy around somewhere. I'm trying to look back
Um,
at one of the comments.
my little puppy's on the couch snoring. Well,
I think that was me earlier. I had to take a little nap before the honeydew list because I ate something. What's his name? Alberto. I had a sancocho, a good one. It's a soup. So that thing that they knocked me out right away. So I had to take a nap for about an hour or so, and then I got up and I started doing the chores.
Newburn says those are some beautiful tanks you have behind you there.
Oh, thank you, thank you. That's the discus tank, and the other one back here is it's a 90-gallon, almost everything tank there. So they are this guy here. I sent Jorge some plants. Jorge, I sent them out. I sent you a message on I think Saturday. I put it on the mail. But this is plants who have been experimenting with this plant that you see. Or just trying to find this plant, this green plant here. It
Yeah.
seems that the no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that plant, but I have it also on this other tank over here in the corner. Is I don't know the name of it. I went back to the pet shop at some point, and I was trying to figure out the name, but it seems to do well with the Buenos Aires tetras, Odessa barbs, and the Congo tetras. They love the plants, and I tried a lot of different things, and they don't bother the crips. This one they don't seem to bother, so it's always experimented. So this tank, I put some I I put some silk and plastic plants just to decorate it. And here's this is Bethany. She is 9. Say hi to Jim.
Hello.
And Jorge is there. You've met Jorge before. So she just made 9, and I was working in her room. Bring Coco so
Yeah.
they get ready to see Coco.
He's eating.
Oh, he's eating. All right, that's a little 12-month-old puppy. It's a mix of
No,
dishes.
he's one.
He's 12 months, right?
No,
12
he's already one.
All right. So let's not. So he made it here, right?
Newburn Aquatic says, "Do I see rainbows in the 90?" Yes, Josh, those are definitely Bosemani rainbows.
Absolutely. I have a mix of rainbows. Right now, Millennium I have, and a few others. I like the rainbow. I didn't like them initially, because I hate the snout thing, but they are beautiful. And I also have some.
I see some Geophaguses in there.
Yes, this tank I actually made it for the Geophagus when I set it up with all white sand. And these guys do an amazing job. I've never ever had to do any kind of vacuuming to the surface because between that and the Geophagus and the Corridoras, that sand is always spotless. And it's really, they do such an amazing job. And with the FX6, just really once in a while, some of the debris from the wood, I may just take a scoop and this is I'm being sarcastic here. I do a father fish swish. And I take care of some of the little wood pieces that fall off the Mopani wood that I have in there. But no, I never have to do anything to that tank. And there's another 60-gallon over here, also white sanded, that it does really well. The discus tank, I have pebbles there, and just the plants that are there do so well that I would like to go sand it on that one also. But I don't want to mess with the plant life. I'm considering just taking some of the gravel out and just capping it with sand, so that I don't disturb the root system on the plants that are there that have done amazing. So I don't want to fix what's not broken.
I understand that. Welcome in, Flatbed. So
Hey, Flatbed.
what got you into the hobby of fish keeping?
Streams near me when I was about 8 or 9. My mom came to the States when I was 6 months old from the Dominican Republic, right? And so my grandparents, and one of my aunts pretty much raised me until I was just making 12 in 74 when I came to the States. So I used to disappear from my grandparents. They used to punish me once in a while. I used to go to streams, you could probably drown in some of these places. So I used to collect fish, like I think a lot of us got started early. And I would go and collect them, keep them in jars and however you could, and mostly guppies, whatever was local, I used to try to get. And when I came to the States, I was about 12, 13 when I got a 20-gallon long. That was my first real tank. Then when I got married, I got a 75 gallon, and then life happens. And I did not keep because the apartment where I was, was really a tough place to keep any weight on those floors. It was a second floor, like a duplex apartment type thing. So when I moved back to where I am currently, and I remarried, I have these 11 tanks now, four larger ones, and then seven, seven that I keep as quarantine, breeding, and everything else, and treatment tanks. And basically, it was during the pandemic. I got my daughter a 6 gallon tank, SpongeBob theme, everything, with the glowfish. And then I said, well, what the heck, then I jumped to the 120 here, and then it's been growing. Sometimes I always said I have to negotiate with my wife. I would love to have another. I have the tanks, but they just in storage. Somebody get me really nice. It's probably a really nice tank. I think it's probably 92. I saw one on Jungle Gyms. He had one of the same exact tank. It's a corner tank. It's really nice, big. I wanted to put it right here next to this one, but this year was either the Christmas tree or the tank, so I had to bend a little bit. But and I have another corner over there on the dining room area that it would be perfect for that one. Or then I have the 75 gallon at home. There was at the house where before I divorced. Somewhere around 1990, about 90 or so, I opened up the wall between the large dining room that I had and the kitchen. So I opened up the wall and did this really nice cabinet there. It was meant to be for a large marine tank. So again, life happens. So I just had this 75 gallon. I moved, and my kids, older kids, my daughter's 31 now. She's the younger of that, three bunch. And I always kept, I wanted to. They kept it set up. They have some angels. I had discus probably first in '88 around there. And then the tank was dry for about 10 years. And when I restarted again, before I got the 90, this 90 here, I had the 75 over there sitting dry in the house for about 10 years. And my daughter said, no, we're going to set it up someday, Dad. And, for every time I came by, it was the same story. And recently I asked my ex-wife, I said, so when are they going to set it up? He said, we were going to ask you, but I don't think your dad wants it back. And I said, sure, I'll take it. I put it in storage. And there was this old Eheim canister filter, 38 years old right now. And I said, great. I took the tank, I have it in storage, and I took the Eheim canister filter. It was not open for 10 years, this canister filter. And I said, holy crap, it had water in there for 10 years. I imagined that the stink in that thing when I opened it up was going to flood the apartment, but I kept smelling the thing. Not as I expected. It just smelled just like when any of the others. When we smell, they had their odor, but it's not horrible. And it works perfectly. So I'm going to set it up to run the UV through it on the discus tank. So it's, I already have it. So it will be extra filtration. Nothing wrong with more. That's what I think.
I actually want to thank you for the package you sent me.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
That thing is amazing. It's in the fish room.
Yeah.
I thought about going down there and streaming from it, but the last time I was down there, it wasn't very comfortable.
No. Just do what's comfortable for now. We get to see you either way. It doesn't matter where you do it from. It's like those religious people. I said, listen, and I'm not one of those. I said, if you need to pray, you don't have to be in a house of worship at a church or something. You can pray from your house. God will listen either way. So we're watching you here from wherever you do it. It doesn't matter.
I appreciate that. I actually bought this computer just so when I was down, like I am now, that I can stream from here. There's a couple of fish tanks behind me. There's one next to me. There's 3 around the corner. There's 2 in the other room. If you go down 2 stairs right here, there's 10 more. So there's tanks everywhere. Like I said earlier on my live stream, I will be changing a lot in my fish room. I'm going to get rid of half of my fish room except for my 300-gallon pond and my planet tank. The planet tank ain't never going anywhere. My purple clown cube tank is mine. So it is there. Welcome back, Mystic Pets.
Yeah, hello, everybody. I'm trying to pay attention to the
absolutely.
Chat here, and occasionally look down at my at the tablet here for the. I'm not missing anybody or not ignoring you guys. Just it's kind of difficult sometimes to keep both.
It is, that's one of the hard things about doing streams is keeping up with watching the chat and trying to, focus on the guest that's there. I think I've had you on my channel once before. You were a guest on here. Not like this. I was just a hangout where you come up and you showed me your discus.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it was on my way from work. A lot of the times, if I'm at work and sometimes between interviewing patients, I work in a recovery room. This is my primary job for the last 26 years. So sometimes we're waiting, we probably do about 100 plus cases a day. So it's a busy place, but sometimes between one and the other, sometimes you have time and I'm listening. We're not supposed to, but sometimes I'm listening to the stream and have the phone kind of out of the way so that my boss doesn't see it. I've been caught a few times there. I was like, put the phone away. Take your earpods off. But I try. But sometimes on the way to work, that's when that time that I jumped in. I forgot who was on, but I just jumped in, and that's when I got home, and then I connected back again. That's when I show you the tanks. Here's let me put his face on.
Oh my
What?
God.
What is he? He's 9 pounds.
Oh my God. Look at that face.
He is. He's Coco. He's a boy. What is it? Bichon? What's the other one?
Bichon mixed with the Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu and then Bichon mix. But he is as smart as hell. He's very protective of her. She's autistic, but very high functioning, extremely smart. Normal in all senses. I have to sometimes argue with people. I don't mean argue, but she's not autistic. She doesn't look autistic. I say, what are they supposed to look like? They are a kid like anybody else. She's in a normal school. She's above everybody else. They actually, even New York Department of Education offer us to put her in a school for gifted children. I say, no, let her stay in a normal kid. Let her excel and let her be above everybody else. She helps the teachers sometimes with other kids' homework, So she is just like any other kid, Sometimes we have a private tutor that works, well, not as a therapist, but she's more of a teacher. She comes in about 6 hours a week and stays with her. She could work straight for 6 hours. So she's on a medication that keeps her focused, like for attention deficit, but the behavior issues, nothing. Just again, very outgoing, very friendly, no behavior issues as you see with some kids with that at the lower end of the spectrum, but she's very high functioning, But thank God, I was. Huh?
I said, welcome in, P-Tag. Price tag's here.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
So, what got you into discus?
As I tell you before, I always loved Marines. But again, I think in the 80s, the cost of Marine, even today, the cost, just the initial equipment and the cost is a lot. And discus, I think, is the closest thing for the colors that I can come to Marine, But I think that discus is just a beautiful fish. Once you are able to take care of any fish and do whatever you do that is right for them, then discus is just, and you have so many choices of colors. And when I buy fish for the colors. So I most of the time buy males, where there is some dimorphism in them because of the colors. And for the discus, I like some of the wilds that are colorful, but I have not yet seen one wild that turns me on and I say, yeah, I want that one. That one is a nice bright color. So, but the hybrids, there's just so much that you can get, and sometimes you want to get every color available, but of course then you have the limit for stocking limits, right? This is why I wanted the other 2 tanks. They'll get there, but definitely that was the major reason. And they are beautiful fish, most people love them, but most people are afraid of them. And I think the major cause of the fear is that they can be sensitive, as some people say. I don't personally think they are. But that's primarily that's the thing, is the colors, and it's a graceful, beautiful fish. So that's pretty much it. Really nothing else beyond that.
So, I know you said you're wanting to put up another tank, and I think you said something to me once before about moving as well.
See, one of the things, Jim, is New York State. Well, I'm right now. I'm more in the city. I live for about 30 years, about 30 miles north of the city, then 45 miles up the city. 30 years between those 2 places. And currently, my house, I'm calling it my house because my my ex-wife, and we still call the house. And the house is upwards of $1 million right now, probably 1.5 here in this area. And the thing is, I paid a mortgage, sorry guys, this is personal life shit anyway. But the point is that between paying mortgage there while I was not living there, having my own separate lives now, and everything else, financially it has been tough. So right now, if you want to get a house in this area, you got to have, I would say, a minimum $100,000 as a down payment to start with, because you're not going to
Jeez.
get anything. You're not going to get anything less than 500,000, even an hour away from the city. And I'm talking about small. So you're talking about for a decent sized house, and I don't want. I want 3 rooms. One, well, maybe, yeah, 3 rooms. One for us, one the daughter, bedrooms, and one for storage shit. But I would like my own. I would like my own space for fish. And so anytime I got a house, if it's a one floor level, maybe a basement, but I want to keep the fish a place where I can enjoy them and see them. I don't want to have to go down to see them. If I have some breeding stuff, that may be kind of a thought for retirement. I'm 63 now. Some people say, when are you going to retire? I say, what the heck am I going to do? When I retire, I like what I do. I enjoy going to work. And because I have less time, as I said, more time available now, that I spent 4 days the other day in the house. The fourth day, I told my wife, no, I got to get out of here. So I went to one of my discus places, just went to look. I went for sightseeing. I had to get out. I go a little stir crazy when I'm not doing stuff. I'm just not used to it. So when I get a house, again, at some point, I am probably gonna go one of the Carolinas where it's a little bit more affordable. But my mom's still around. I have a 17-year-old that, thank God, he's doing okay in spite of the other half, and he's doing well. He's a bright kid, but again, I don't want to go too far away because he's still. I have to keep him on my side. Or he's been very good considering where he's growing up here in the city. But I want to get him a little bit further along. And then my mom's is 83. She's still around. So I don't want to go too far from my kids, my family. But that's something that first time seriously I'm considering it for cost reasons. And I do want a space where I can keep a couple of more tanks. I don't want to go crazy and have 40 tanks where I cannot maintain them. If I'm not working, then that's something else. But I think I can easily go up to 20 tanks, I think, and be comfortable if I have the time and space. Because I would not mind at some point breeding, letting these guys breed. I have some about 14-month-old babies here, juveniles, discus, and I've bred a bunch of them. But then the thing is, you need all the space to do that. But if I have more time and retirement, that's something that would keep me occupied because some people say, well, when you retire, you could travel, but it takes money to travel. And then that gets old after a while. I don't know about you, but after 1 week out, I want to go back home.
We were in Mexico for 4 days. On the third day, I was ready to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ready to go home. I'm like, there ain't nothing else for me to do here.
Yeah, I came from a Caribbean place. Beaches were there. I would go into the water for a little bit, and then after that, I'm out. And, I cannot, not a sunbather. And I could be in the water for an hour or 2 hours, on in and out. But then I'm good, then I don't want to. And if you go to, even when I go back home, if I go into a resort, the all-inclusive things, a lot of the time, I may go there for 1 day to say that I was there. But I always go out, I rent a car and I go out locally and I eat locally. And even when I go home, I do a lot of traveling, a lot of internal tourism. The island is pretty big. We share the island with Haiti. So the space is pretty vast, and you can, from one end to one end, you can easily travel 6, 7 hours. Now, what are kind of major highways? It's a lot of driving. So there's a lot of places that you can visit. And I do a lot of internal tourism. I enjoy it when I go there. But wherever the day ends, I find a small motel. I sleep there and then pick up the next day and keep going. So I like that I like road trips, and the same thing I do here. Sometimes wherever the night catches you, I tell my wife, my co-pilot, I say, listen, find the nearest motel, we'll sleep in, and we'll get up and keep going. But I hope to get into a house at some point, But then again, it's the issue of money and everything else. But we'll see. There'll be time for everything.
Yeah. So we were talking about, the price of everything here in New York, and I understand about moving. I heard that it is like almost impossible to find a house in the city that has a driveway.
Let me tell you, in the city, we're talking about Manhattan. When we say the city here, we mean the 5 major boroughs of Bronx, which is where currently I am. I never liked Manhattan because you cannot find parking. Most buildings do not have your own parking. Even when I was looking for an apartment where I currently live, I told I first looked for a place that had a pay parking, which is two short blocks from me. I had to find that parking first before I could look around for an apartment in the area because when I come home at 9, 10, whatever time I come from work, looking around for parking, you can spend 2 hours looking for parking. And even here, forget about Manhattan. Downtown isn't, Manhattan is impossible. But you're not gonna have in the city in Manhattan. I don't think you have. Like I'm trying to think of a house that has a driveway. Maybe the governor's mansion or the mayor's mansion maybe has driveways. But the actual city is tough. Now the other part of the other boroughs like Queens, Bronx, Brooklyn, where you have private homes, they have their own driveways, but not Manhattan itself, not the city itself. It's very, I'm not saying that they aren't any, but it's just difficult to find them with it. Just space. But that's the nice thing about living outside of the cities that you do have your driveways, you have your space. And I think that's probably what I miss most out of my house. I'm a big woodworker. I did before, while I had nursing, I had a business, a small home improvement business, but I did all the work, all the carpentry, plumbing, electrical. I did everything. I was licensed, in 2, 3 states here, but I did mostly work for friends, and I did not want to charge people too much. I was not going to make enough money to do what I needed to do. And I did stuff people, I had a waiting list. If you wanted to wait and had the time, I did the work. But I do miss the space from the house for that because I had my own the garage. I had to set up as a nice woodworking shop, and occasionally I do stuff there. I've done some of the cabinetry and some of the work for the tanks here. But it's I do miss this. I miss the space actually. So
I tell you what, man, I love my basement, but things are definitely gonna change. I promise you that.
mhm. I think if I had ideally, I mean, I like basements for storage, and I would like probably if I had the house that it would be kind of a ranch style, one level, because as we get a little bit older, we may not, going up and down stairs. It becomes an issue, and you certainly can relate for me. So at this point in time, it's not much of an issue. But again, if I am at the basement, sometimes we go down once in a while to see what it is. But if I like when I'm here, when I'm doing any work that I'm doing with these tanks, I'm around the family. My daughter is here in the living room watching TV, so I'm visible. But if I'm going to go down for a few hours and hide out of sight, then it's kind of limits. It's you want to be able to have your time for the fish, for the hobby. And sometimes our spouse they may get a little jealous. Oh, you're spending more time with the fish than you spend with us. But you have to try to balance things out.
For me, it's getting slightly overwhelming. I got a little too big too fast. So I got to step back, regroup, and start where I want to start.
Hmm.
So
Trying to look at. Mhm.
here's a question for you. If you could remove one fish from the hobby, what would you remove? I've heard multiple things, and last week was the first time that I got a completely different answer.
I definitely will remove the Arapaimas. I don't think they belong in the hobby. I mean, I know some people keep them, but this is that the Arapaima will be one. And Jesus, I don't like the gulper fish. If you like them, fine. But that thing is just would eat anything bigger than itself. I think, but if it's just one, I would say the Arapaima. But not everybody has a space for one of those. But if it's the more common fish that we keep, definitely the common pleco.
I heard for the first time last week, somebody said remove the clownfish.
But the clownfish, I saw that live. Cece, I think, said that. The saltwater clown. It was Cece
Yes.
that said. I remember that.
That's the
But
first
that's not.
time I've ever heard anybody say that. I was like, oh, wow. It's usually like the Arapaima or the common pleco, the pacu, stuff like that. And I'm like, man, that's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that.
Yeah, and I think I think her reasoning for it is, I mean, if I can tell you something, if I ever have the space and time to do a reef, I don't. I mean, I'm saying a reef. If it's a marine, it has to be a reef tank because I don't want I want a reef. That's what I've always dreamed of having. I mean, the first fish that I'm going to have is going to be a clown with some sort of anemone. That's like, that's like the classic fish, Nemo.
Yeah, you got
But
to have
again,
a
you gotta have it. You gotta, and those are the basic starting one. But some other people, have said there's this guy Jorge knows. He's a pediatric surgeon doctor. He's part of this large Spanish-speaking fish keepers. There's this group. A lot of people from Spain, Mexico, all of Latin America, Spanish-speaking country. This guy, he is a big saltwater fish keeper. He's a surgeon, pediatric surgeon. And a lot of the time he jumps in on the lives, at least with Jorge, just he shows up and says hello. But he keeps a lot of.
I've got one clownfish.
Oh, you do have one.
I've got one saltwater tank.
Yeah, no, I've seen you. I heard you talk about it. I haven't seen it because some of the times you don't show.
There's some of them I don't show, and sometimes you got to keep a tank for yourself. I mean, you really do. Like I've got fish right here. I can tell you they're. I think they're Lake Victorians, and that's all I'm going to say. Everybody's got African cichlids from Malawi or things of that nature. Mine are from Victoria. So I like them. They're cute. They're beautiful. They're colored up. I do have fry in there. So we'll see what happens. I can't grab them. I can't right now. I can't grab anything right now. I was able to move that Severum that Rusty was beating up. So that's moved. Rusty's looking great, man. He's getting some size.
I was looking at him the video that you put up. I said, what an asshole he's becoming. He looks beautiful, though.
Yeah. I mean, he went from being like that wide across the back, man, to he's a chunker now.
No, he's a chunker. He looks really beautiful. So unless
I treated him for parasites and then I hit him with salt.
Yeah, no, he's looking good. It's nice to see that because sometimes, especially with these guys, the discus, you have once they get to a point where they get so skinny, their whole immune system just kind of shuts down, and they have difficulty fighting any illness. I mean, that's the same with us with people. Once you get people, they get to a certain weight, it's hard for them to kind of fight back, and unless you do aggressive treatments to get, to help them nutritionally. And with some of the discus here, one of the things about them that even if you don't get illness, some of them just go underweight. And what I do is I just put them on a separate 20 and just overfeed them. Even these guys, I have them on auto feeder for flakes 3 times a day, but usually once or twice a day I just feed them with live frozen food just to keep their weight up, because there's always one that will just kind of sit back and not eat as much, and it's not illness, it's just that they get out competed easily. I had before all these I had some barbs and the rainbows and some other fish in here. And those guys eat so fast that before you realize, I can drop any large amount, and I tend to overfeed on purpose because all these fish are overstocked. I just want to make sure that if something drops on, everybody eats. And you drop the food in there, a lot of it doesn't get to the bottom sometimes. It's with the FX6, I leave it running, so it does push the food down to the lower guys. But I had to take them all out and just leave the discus pretty much along with some dither fish there. And so that's enough food for everybody. I make sure I overfeed them. But like with Rusty, once when I saw him so skinny, I said, I hope he makes it. And he's done really, really well. But for like anything else, a little TLC will go a long way. Hello, CC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, CC, Jungle Jim. Hello, Jim. I was talking about you before, if you're still on the chat. I was talking about Jungle Jim has this 90, he said it was 92 gallons. It's that corner round. It's really a beautiful tank, and I would love to have it here. Probably keep smaller discus in that one and the larger ones here in the 120. But, going back to the discus, there's so much bull, I think I would say, about the discus, that they need this, they need that. And when people get with the daily water changes, that's ridiculous. And then in a commercial establishment where you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in fish, and like Gabe from Wadley, he has said himself, as I already mentioned before, that he does this over there because he has to. He's maybe has 50 discus in one tank, and you have to do constant water changes. Just the bioload is huge there, so you have to do it. But I've gone 2 weeks with this tank here, and I don't change the water. But I try not to. I just try to do it once a week because the schedule works for me. Saturdays I try to take Saturdays off. The little girl is here, and then I can do the stuff, get everything done. Usually, like in an hour, I do the water changes, an hour and a half. And once in a while, if I have to trim the plants, I have to do open the filter, which is like every 8 months to a year. I just do it on a separate day, but it's not that time consuming. It they don't the babies is different, a different story. That's another challenge.
Yes.
But overall, I don't think they are difficult. Just treat them well, do water changes regardless what some people out there saying. They just want clean water. I think it just improves their health. Not so much that improve their health, but it'll prevent problems, I think.
I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about discus, and I've had this conversation with Sean too, because Sean keeps discus.
Hmm.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. I think that the juvenile discus are harder to keep.
Definitely, definitely.
They're a little more fragile. The bigger they get, they get a little easier to handle. And I've noticed that with mine. I've got one that was juvenile that I've got raised from juvenile, and the full size ones, they're tough as nails. So they're in a sand substrate, and I seen somebody say something about using play sand with discus doesn't work.
Oh, you know what I actually got recently? There are some people that generally, that ask, they're really looking for help. And when you're talking about misinformation, which is something that I was when I tried with Jorge still on, I believe, when I asked Jorge after the whole, everybody's kind of openly talking about it, so I don't give a hoot if I talk about it. I don't want to badmouth other fish, but I don't like his methods. I'm not saying you cannot adapt one thing. You could adapt Dirty Tank. I know I was trying not to go there, but talking about misinformation. If you could, when I approached Jorge, I said, listen, Jorge, after that reaction video that I did to Patty's Aquatic with Corey, and when Corey when he had the balls to say, I think it's just somebody's trying to sell products to lazy people. I am not calling people out there lazy, but this is, again, I'm just quoting Corey. And then everybody was, oh, now because Corey said it's a big thing, it's a big thing. It's not a big thing because Sean has been consistently for months. Let's say he's been on the attack on the idea of a dirty tank. Dirty tank, plants need dirt. This is where plants grow generally. So if you have that, and you could have that, but to say that you're going to have any fish, period, in a situation where you're not going to do water changes, where you're not going to have filter, where you're not going to have air movement, where you don't have basically shit, just fish and water, and say that, oh, it's natural. Plants are not going to take care of everything. I don't care what you say. There's enough science out there. There's going to be enough. You just take a cup of water and you dissolve salt in there. It's going to get to a point where it's going to be saturated, and the water is not going, the salt is already saturated. It's not going to dissolve that. We don't test for a lot of shit that's in the water here. So you could have everything in there. The plants are not gonna take care of everything. You could have a big plate of food like this. You're gonna eat what once you get filled. That's it. The rest stays in there. Yep. So the amazing thing is that some fish adapt. Some fish have adapted to the darkness and eventually evolved to have no eyes in caves, like some of these cave fishes. And some of these fish adapt to extremely salty conditions in some lakes where they're the only fish in there. They can adapt and evolve over time. Even in our lifetime, I said in one of my videos that in our lifetime, we have seen evolutions in some species, not of fish necessarily. They have to adapt to things, but to say that a fish is going to be okay in a water full of who knows what, because we don't test for it, they will adapt. But then he said in one of his videos, Mini Father Fish, if you do large water changes, you're going to kill your fish. On his tanks, you're going to kill his fish because you're going to take them for a high concentration of whatever solids are in that water, and you suddenly drop them, and you're going to change, the osmotic pressures and everything else, all the science that goes into it. You try to explain it to people. They don't want to hear the science, but again, it's biology. These are organism, live organism. So if you bring all that water, suddenly you're going to change. You're going to make a big change. They're not going to adapt that quickly to a big water change. So of course you're going to change it. You're going to kill them. So now if somebody's going to say, oh, you cannot do water changes, hey, 80%. Sometimes I've done 80% supposedly in volume, but because I don't want to leave them without water, I have the hose going in one end and draining water in another one. So I'm doing more than 100% water change on these guys. Nobody dies. You know when they have died? If I have plants, sometimes you get some of these, there's some cribs here that just grow huge. Once in a while, I have to cut them and divide them. So now all that gas bubbles that come out, I've killed some fish there because the gas, whatever comes out, and it's usually in small breeds, not the discus. So of course you're going to kill fish if you do a large water percentage in one of these. Let me use the steel Sean's word, in one of the swamp tanks. Again, swamp are pristine, very dynamic systems. Not that swamps are dirty, but again, I'm just stealing Sean's Discus North word. Swamps are beautiful places. I've been in some swampy area, and they are like water is pristine, but there's water movement there. You don't have stagnant water in a closed system like this. You're gonna have issues. So you could do large water changes, but then not in one of those tanks. So and part of the misinformation is that I've been kind of up in arms. Again, I guess I'm not that verbal as far as Sean is. I told Sean, I said, Sean, I don't agree with some of the things you said. He's maybe a little extreme in some things. And I tell him, I could disagree with him. I like Sean. We talk a lot on the phone, almost daily. We message back and forth, and he's a friend like you've become a friend, Jim, You could have differences. It's fine. As I said before, I have one of my sisters that sometimes stops talking to me. I haven't spoken to her in months now because you say something that she doesn't like the way I said it. But you have to be an adult and be able to understand that I'm not going to agree with everything you say, and I don't have to agree with his methods, right?
Correct. That's like I'll go back to the Corey being on Patty's Aquatics. I was in the chat and I asked the same question 4 times. I asked Corey why he added a collar and an upflow tube to an already perfect sponge filter. He refused to answer it. They refused to even look at it. So here's my method of thing, or my problem with Corey. Corey won't acknowledge fans. You know what I mean? He won't acknowledge the people that buy his product and put him where he is. That is my thing. And, it's okay if you got an ego as big as his tummy is. You know what I mean? It's okay.
Mm-hmm. But
you got to remember, if it wasn't for the people like me buying your equipment and your product, you wouldn't be where you are.
Right.
So he goes down this rabbit hole on one of his live streams and a video about cleaning your sponge filters. He's got people taking a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, going into their tank and putting a sponge filter in and then taking it out. That's dumb, for one. Grab that sponge filter. If you lift it up slowly out of the water, when you get to the top and you just stick a container underneath of it, you don't get any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had that issue with it. And then there was the other issue of people saying you cannot clean your sponge filters or any of your canister filter media in tap water. And I'm going to straight out say that one person stood behind me on this, and that was Jason from Primetime Aquatics. You can, in fact, take your sponge filters and all your filter media and clean it out with tap water. You can. I do it all the time. I also messed up and did 100% water change. Imagine that. I had a 10-gallon tank, wasn't paying attention, was doing maintenance on it. I had the python in it. I lost my attention span. I was messing with another tank, and I heard my little fish flapping around in the tank. I was like, oh, shit. I did 100% water change on the tank. They survived. I have every one of them. Didn't lose a single fish. And people are like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, if your tank is established and you have enough beneficial bacteria in it, it's going to survive.
He did. He did. Talking about Jason, right? He did. Jason, he says, I don't know if he said he teaches biology, but he did he did some biology thing. I did a biochem major after nursing. I wanted to go to medical school, but the cost of maintaining a family and going through medical school without working, that couldn't be a thing for me. So, but I do have a lot of science behind me, and I spend a lot of times in labs. And not only that, but a lot of the things that apply in medicine apply to, to life things,
Yeah.
And I saw his video the other day on the same subject that you're talking about. And I can tell you one of the things going back, these things, this is like leftover from one of my wife's admissions. Or I can borrow some from the hospital sometimes. This is one of these ice jugs. I put
Yes.
this under because when you use a plastic bag thing, it collapses it and it's difficult. I put this under the filter because I do overfeed. Remember, I said that, and I keep a pre-filter on these things. One of his, as a matter of fact, one of Corey. That's probably the one thing that I buy on a regular basis. After 6, 8 months, they kind of begin to get a little soft, and I exchange them. Well
Yeah.
worth it. It just keeps a lot of the junk out of the FX6. So you put this under there, a lot of that shit that will normally just drop down, it stays on here and it doesn't collapse. So I use one of these, and I have a bunch of them because I just put them there dirty and then clean them at the end. I try not to bring things from one tank to the other, and they're very useful for that. It could be that, it
Yeah.
could be any other plastic thing, works very well. So now what he was talking about, the not cleaning the sponge filter in tap water, you can certainly do it because the same thing as I've been working on this UV thing, it all depends on exposure time. If you probably threw yourself on bleach, if you took a bleach bath yourself, it won't be pleasant, but it's probably not going to kill you. But if you stay in there for an hour, it probably will kill you, right? But if you wash it in cold water, you may lose a few of the bacteria, but then you have beneficial bacteria everywhere else in your tank, so that should be okay. I still do it with water again, just because it's a thing to do, but not because I believe that washing it in tap water is going to kill all the beneficial bacteria.
I mean,
It's
if you
just
think about it, how long does it take bacteria to be airborne to die?
it takes a while, and in some of these things, some of these bacteria, they can survive on surfaces dry for a long time. Like even when we clean equipment, it needs a wet time, meaning like some of these disinfectants that we use to clean surfaces, it needs a wet time of 3 to 5 minutes. Like you don't want to put it dry, you need to leave it wet because it needs a contact time with bacteria to kill it, to affect it. So I don't believe. I also don't believe that doing your sponge filter in tap water is going to hurt much because you have the rest of, some will survive and the bacteria multiply fast. That's one of the things they do. So, and going back to the misinformation, I'm sorry, sometimes we go in different tangents, which are all related, of course. Going back to our friend, our bearded friend, I hate to go into trying to attack, especially an older person. I mean, you can be a scumbag, excuse my choice of word here, and be an old or be a young one, for that matter. But when at Mexicali, when jumped in him and Aquafunk jumped into a live after we had this big thing with Sean of Business North. And of course, I did a reaction video to the Corey thing, and I said, "Go ahead, Corey, say it." Where he said that it was just to sell lazy people again. I'm not saying the dirty people are lazy, just the whole method of do nothing. So now he goes into Father Fish's live, and he jumps in, and not Sean, Jay Aquafunk said in one of his members only thing, "I'm going to ask him. I know him personally. I'm going to ask him because I owe it to my members," he said. And he asked him, "Where does that thing of no water changes come?" He laughs it off and he says, "No water change." He goes like this. It was a sensational, big clickbait thing to grow my business and to grow my channel. Who hasn't done it? Who hasn't done it? Joey did it. He made like $12,000 on a single video with clickbait things. So, and one of the things for me, Jim, that I say is, I am in YouTube today because my wife pushed me. She said, "You've been all your life a fish keeper. You have a lot of knowledge. Do I know everything? Hell no. No, we're all learning. I learn from you. I learn from everybody. We learn from each other. And this is why I love this community. Because of my life as is, I really never have. I cannot say that I have one friend that I go out and hang out with. I have one person, and I don't really hang out with him. I talk to him every few years or whatever. Maybe I see him on when somebody dies. That's when I see him. But I choose. Just I'm a family person. I go to work. I come back, and that's kind of what my life has been. But in this community, I have so many friends right now. But it's people that I can communicate. You, Sean, and Jorge, and everybody else here. And these are people that I really feel warm towards them. We share something in common, and this is unique to this hobby. But to have as YouTubers, I feel again, I'm going to do things my way, you do things your way. But my wife pushed me into this, and she did it for a while. And then my son, my 17-year-old, he's going to be 17 in May. He's the one who actually set up my channel and edited my first video. Then I said, no, I have to learn quickly, learn the technology, and I have to get it done. And I feel that in a way, if we're in YouTube, we all are in it for different reasons. And if we're going to be teaching people or sharing information, I think we should share factual things, not lie because it's going to help your business or you're going to sell the product. So, of course, you're going to say that this is the magical dirt and you don't have to do anything else because the tank will take care of itself. And this is natural. This is bullshit. Nature, you have water movement. He says that the swamps are pristine. They are. But there's water movement there. The discus, when there's floods, they swim everywhere. But there's water moving all the time. This is not a closed system. And this is what people that are in this, again, stealing Sean's word, that are in this cult, they don't want to see anything else. They have blinders on. They've been fed the Jews. And listen, you have to know that there is some science behind everything. And you cannot make these fantastic claims and think, that this is it and this is the only way. I like to be in the middle. I want to listen to what he says. Yes, the dirt thing is a great idea. I won't do the dirt thing because when you move plants, you're going to have issues. I've always used inert substrate. I have one 20-gallon tank here that I want to set up, but I'm using one of the active soils. I think is one of the Flugo, one stratum. Okay. I want to do a Plantec Nano. But again, that doesn't have the same thing as when you're trying to move plants from a dirty tank where you're going to have these gas bubbles coming up that will kill your fish or can potentially kill your fish. I've done it. They've killed fish here, especially. That is the most heavily Plantec tank. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, one young discus, once I made a heavy movement of plants. I think I do remember maybe 3-4 years back, there was a small discus. He wasn't looking too well, was getting skinny. And after the big movement, he did die. And again, why? It was not because discus are weak. It was just whatever was hiding out there came up and the bubble came out and it killed him. And sometimes when you do that, when these heavy movements, I may do 100 water exchange, 100%. I've done it. Again, they don't die because of that.
I think in this hobby, we're all doing the same thing. So why can't we all step back and see that there's more than one way of doing things and actually get along? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I watched that part of that live stream that you were talking about with Jorge, Funk, you, and Sean. And I'm not gonna lie, when I got probably, I don't know, a few minutes into that whole debacle, I was like, man, I've never seen two people look so uncomfortable as you and Sean did.
I was, I was having fun with the chat. I was part of the chat at that point. I wasn't part of the live anymore because my goal was basically for this live. When I approached George, he thought it was Jorge. Yeah, he thought it was a great idea because in my day I said, Jorge, there's a lot of all these things that they were talking about in Patty's Aquatic with Corey. One of the things, see, Patty, I never saw him until I saw the thing because of Corey. I said, this is all it popped up as a notification. And I said, let me watch this. I don't really watch Corey stuff. I have in the past. When I first started looking at YouTube, some of the things, and we get hints, from different people. You learn, oh, let me try that. Let me try that thing, or let me try that method. That may work well. And you take a little bit from everybody, and I adjust it to you, right? But
Yeah.
when I saw that, and then Patty, and one of the things that triggered this was because he says, "Look, I don't use any air on my tanks. I don't do any water changes. I don't do anything because I want to save money." And then that's when Corey came out. One of the things that you can save the most money in, the cheapest thing in the hobby is air. Get a pump, spread it out to your thing. You're gonna need it to move just water circulation, right?
Yep.
That's the cheapest thing you can do. And then he actually adapted and changed it after that. And he says he actually, which is the good thing, he actually says, you may have a point here, but when people have blinders on and you want to say, okay, no, this is the way I've always done it, and this has worked for me. And I tell people, hey, listen, you cross the street every day, your car never hits you, but who's going to tell you that you're not going to get run over one day because that's the way you've always done it, right? You could change. You can listen to different ideas. Maybe before you cross the street, maybe you should look both ways and not get run over.
Well,
Somebody may actually say, right?
that's like me with all the tanks I have in the basement. I had, individual air pumps for every tank.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this isn't working for me. So
Yeah.
I bought 2 pumps. I've got one running one side, which is running like 15 or 20 tanks, and I've got one running 15 or other 20 tanks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
bought a pump that's going to handle every tank that's in the room. And now I
Mhm.
have another one that will do every tank in my house. I just haven't hooked it up yet.
Oh, give me a second
You
here.
know-
Can you still hear me? Because I lost my my headpiece.
I can hear you.
Discharged now. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. We can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yeah, my headpiece is the battery kind of died on it, but I can hear you okay. If you can hear me, I'm gonna
Yeah,
put
I
this
can hear
on.
you. There's a big misconception about air pumps and what they do. Okay. An air pump doesn't put oxygen into it. It puts bubbles in the tank. When it comes to the surface, when it breaks in the surface, that's what causes oxygen to come into the water.
Of course,
People misconstrue that. Oh, I got air in there. I got oxygen. Well, are you pumping oxygen into it, or are you pumping air into it? It's the gas exchange at the surface when the bubbles break.
Yeah, right. Air is only 21% oxygen, 78% is nitrogen, and then the
Nitrogen.
rest is other inert gases. So there's very little. But again, the surface agitation with that is that's where the air exchange happens. And
Yeah.
even all these guys, although I have for the big tanks, I have a spray bar at the surface, and with the FX6 blasting, I still have air there because why is a little bit of extra air going to? It's only going to help, especially on my tanks that I keep on purpose overstocked. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, I was looking into one of these pumps. Every tank only because this is my living room. So for me, airlines above is not going to work. So I've tried different pumps, but there's this hydrant pump that is actually so damn quiet and you don't hear it. I have 4 pumps on the 7 tanks that I use for quarantine and everything else. I have 4 pumps, and I have them actually to valves and stopcocks. And because some of them I have 2 filters in them, or filter and air stone, and they're quiet, And I have 3, and I was looking for a larger pump just to run one pump to all of them, but this is working. I leave them alone, but each tank has its own pump, and I think one of the air ones supplies both. But that's like air is the cheapest thing, and talking going back to the misinformation thing with Patty's Aquatics. So at least he was able to listen and listen. I can listen to some of I hate to say to some of his idea. I just want to say, let's just talk about saying the dirty tank. Not that that's Father Fish's idea, but you could take one thing, but when you go gun ho with an idea that somebody's selling you because there's benefits to that thing, it's nothing wrong with dirty tank. Listen, as I said, plants need dirt, but when you want to go to extreme, that's what bothers me. And then people who say, no, this is the way you got to do it. This is the way it's done, right? That's wrong. And I think any videos that I do, it's like if you don't do like let's just say take UV for example. I've never done UV because again, I never did water because of the expense. I'm doing UV now because it's expensive. But when it's the right time, whenever you decide to do it, it's the right time to do whatever you do. I'm gonna get a house. It's the right time. No, now is not the right time for me. But when I decide to, that's the right time. So you know about something, you read about it, you educate yourself, you inform yourself. If you're getting a new fish, you should investigate. Like you should really research, right? So I learned a lot about UV in general. But why didn't I do it? It was expensive. I rather pay for my car insurance than to get a unit here, right? For example. But when you start giving people or you start putting out something for new keepers, any video that I do, it's like water changes have been taught forever by many different ways by everybody. Am I bringing something else new to the hobby? Not really. And this is something that my wife said. I told my wife when she was saying, do a YouTube. I said, listen, what am I going to say in YouTube that hasn't been said before? I don't know. Maybe this charming face people like, but
I get it.
if you're teaching somebody something to a newcomer coming that is looking for information and you sell them an idea and then all the fishes die because you have to be an experienced fish keeper. Let's say don't start with discus if you're not an experienced fish keeper. Try to do your trial and errors with guppies, let's say, or something that is less costly. But if you're gonna be, I feel that as person who's in the public eye and you're sharing information, share something that at least is truthful and don't. If you have a different agenda, you're gonna put it out there for your benefit, but you're not benefiting the poor kid or the person that is trying to learn and is looking for information. When you and I, Jim, started with this, we didn't have the technology and the information that is so readily available today, right?
Yeah.
It was just not there.
And when I started, it was a 10-gallon tank and a goldfish. And I was under the assumption that a fish only, grew to the size of its enclosure. So for 10 years, I mistreated a goldfish.
Yeah, no, and listen,
I had a 10-inch goldfish in a 10-gallon tank.
yeah, we all have made that mistake. A lot of people, because since I started the channel, friends, family members, they send me pictures or videos. Look, I have a tank now. And one of my cousins lives in Massachusetts. He sends me a picture, and she said, "Oh, I only bought them because they were real cheap." So I think it's maybe a 20-gallon tank. I don't know. It looks like sometimes it's hard to tell from video, but maybe it was a 20-gallon tank, and she had like 4 goldfish. She said, "But they grow so fast." I said, "Listen, they're gonna grow a lot more, And they're already way small for the tank." But I said, "Yeah, they're probably feeder goldfish that she got." But yeah, we all make these mistakes.
It's always nice to inspire people.
Nice, good. And it's a lot of people. One of my coworkers, one of the other nurses says, Jose, why do my fish keep dying? I said, what kind of fish do you have? So from the description, I said, I don't know. They're very colorful. So I asked her 7 questions, temperature, how often do you feed? How often do you, I forgot what the basic fish keeping things. And I said, oh, they're not dying. You're killing them. I said. So recently I said, so I said, no, this is what you have to do. You have to do this, this is what you have to do. This is ideally what should be done. And then recently I asked her, have you killed any more fish? She said, no, they're all alive. They're staying well. But she just kept buying more fish and killing more fish, but it's funny sometimes.
So Jesse says, Jose, using a dresser as a tank stand is a bad mistake unless it's old furniture that's built better. I'm going to say from the looks of that dresser, that thing's old.
This is not a dresser and it's not old. This is a, let's see something. We've been in this apartment probably for about 7 years. This is a server, like a dining room server.
Oh, no shit.
What I did was I took a 3/4 plywood, I put it on here, and then I use a molding on here to
make it look better
to cover the edges. But no, this is not old this is not old at all. As some older people will say, I have underwear that are way older than that. No, this is a new thing, and I looked at it. It's a heavy unit. It's a dining room server. It's not an old unit at all. It's not a dresser.
So it's not made out of particle board.
No, definitely not particle board. It is hardwood. And this is actually, I thought about it a lot, but it was just sitting there. And I said, listen, I'm going to be this, it's already there in the space. It was kind of dead space. So I put the 90 in there. So
I used the bottom portion of a china cabinet for a couple of years.
yeah, this would be kind of something like that, but it's a heavy, well-made unit. I mean, I've made furniture. I do cabinets. As a kid, I used to, like back home, sometimes you learn trades by hanging out in, let's say, an auto shop or woodworking shop, furniture making shop. So I used to hang out. Either I escaped to the shop there. This is
Uh-oh, Jose froze. Oh no, Jose froze. Did his phone die? Uh-oh. Hell, did my internet die? Nope, I believe Jose is frozen. All right, well. He is frozen. So, but yeah, I understand, some things are made to handle weight and some things aren't. Like this, for instance, I built this. Now I showed this on the live stream the other night, and I'll show you guys again. You see how thick that is, okay? I built this stand, and now that slides right under. So I will have to basically I don't have to worry about it. I really don't. It's strong enough. It really is. If I want to, I can remove this first board here, front board. I could put a 2x4 across the front of it. I could jack the plane up to where it's touching, to where it's level, and then I could screw a board to it and then do it from there. I'm not worried about it. The corners are supported where it's supposed to be. There's no sag. I mean, it's fine. If at some point in time I feel froggy, if I ever do feel froggy, I may put a piece of foam under it. I may not. Jose's phone died. I knew something happened. So I'm not really all that worried about it. Like I said, there's things that's going to be happening in the fish room. If it's under a 75 gallon, I'm probably not going to keep it. And those are both 75-gallon tanks. I know they don't look that big, but they are 75-gallon tanks. I will keep my 129 that I have that is planted. That is my planet tank. That's where that won't go anywhere. Sorry, Tim. You're going to see purple clown puke until it just makes you sick. I do have a 32-gallon Fluval Flex that will be for sale. You're going to have to get your wallet out for that. It's got everything except for the light. I've got an 11-foot rack that has 8 tanks on it. Gonna have to break your wallet out for that. I will not break that apart. It is one unit. It will be sold as one unit. So that will be that. 255s on a stand. Oh yeah. That apart. It's one unit. It will be sold as one unit. There we go. Hey,
I'm back.
welcome back. Back again.
Welcome back, Carter. I mean, you're probably too young to remember that one. Welcome back.
Oh
Kotter.
no. Welcome back.
Yeah.
I love that. I used to watch that show with my mom.
Oh yeah. That's where what's his name? Jen Travolta got his start. I think. Welcome back, Carter.
Yep.
Right?
Welcome back, Cotter.
Yeah. Anyway, so we still connected. Thank God. So. No, so going back, Jesse. This is a good unit. So what I was saying was that as a kid, I remember now. I used to escape from my parents, and I used to go to these little streams and go swimming, like around, lunchtime. And my grandfather was tough, and sometimes, I would lie and say that I was hanging out at this gentleman's shop, as a woodworker. And one time I just kind of went there and I started helping out because one time my grandfather showed up to see if, in fact, I was there. But I used to because I used to go to the streams. So I learned a lot of woodworking there, and back when I was in my house doing a lot of the work, some people started saying, say, can you do this for me? Can you do that? And I did get licensed, as a licensed contractor, and I did nursing, but I also had the side business, and had it for maybe 10, 15 years. I gave it up. It was a lot. It was a lot of work, a lot of time and money invested, and I wasn't really killing people for what I charge. So it was not really a profitable thing. So I gave it up. So and that was when I started actually learning how to do woodwork. So I done a lot of the cabinets here, and I cannot share screen to show you some of the things that I did. Where I said that I wanted to do that large reef tank, but
Yes.
it's fun doing that, and that's one of the things probably I miss most about having a garage and having a house is that. But no, these units are good as far as because even the cabinets that come with the fish tanks, some of them came as a unit. I got rid of them and I just remade wooden cabinets, like real strong cabinets, because I don't trust these particle board crap that come with them. They fall apart shortly after. So anybody who's interested in discus, if you keep discus, if you keep other fish, try them out because they're not that difficult. And don't go crazy with the water changes every day. That's ridiculous. That's for a commercial facility. You treat them nice, you give them clean water, and treat them like any other fish. They'll be fine. But don't get small ones, get larger ones. But again, only if and when you're ready.
I had to send a message to a company that is sending me products to tell them that one of the products they sent me is junk. So, but I appreciate somebody that takes the time and makes something that works for them. You know what I mean? Like I took my time and made this stand, and like I just showed people, I don't know if you've seen it or not. Like this is a sticker.
Mm-hmm.
Just thin piece of white sticker.
Okay, right.
I've got 8 inches on this side of the tank touching the stand and 8 inches on that side touching the stand.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's a 1 inch solid thick piece of oak on the top. It is braced in places it shouldn't be. And I don't see it going anywhere. So.
Yeah. I'm just going to move. I want to show you something here.
Man, I love all the pictures, all the fish on the wall.
Oh yeah, I'll give you a show around here. Excuse any mess that I may have. I'm still trying to set up the. I'm gonna switch cameras, Jim. Okay.
Good.
Let me make sure that I can do this the right way without cutting us off. Here we go. I'll do with technology again. I'm trying to switch my camera here, and I cannot get it.
We will go to
There you go. I got it now. I got it now. Okay, now let me show you this one here. Okay, sorry. So I had this cabinet here, right? I wanted to do a cabinet and keep 220s on top, and my wife said, "Why don't you? Wouldn't it be better just to have?" Well, I first got this metal frame. This came pre-made, right?
Okay.
And my wife, this was gonna be on the floor. My wife said, "Why don't you just build a cabinet so they can be kind of at eye level?" So these are 310s, 220s, and a 5, and then this other 20 over here. These is a breeding pair of discus, right? And here I have a bunch of maybe 100, 200 crevensis fry and about 40 green neons. They're just keeping them company there. But this is gonna be for that for this planted tank that I want to do a nano tank. That's gonna be for that. And I'm waiting for April. I'm gonna get a bunch of CPDs from Roxanne Foxy. And so anyway, this one here. So what I did was I just built this cabinet here. This frame is screwed. The metal frame, I just bought it pre-made like that from Amazon. And then I just did another platform here, wood platform, to support the tanks at the top, and also extended out the platform here for those guys, right? So this holds it well and it's functional. It works well for me. And then this other cabinet here, I built that cabinet too. Again, this is a 65-gallon, mostly tiger barbs and some other things in there. All the bottom dwellers are hiding in caves and wherever they may be. Anyway, so this one is so planted. I recently started using UV sterilizer here again, just to hopefully control any periods of sickness. And this is the unit here that Jesse was talking about here. Now here I put this molding piece here to hide the original top. The original top had a little bevel at the end. You can see hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. They had a little bevel at there. So I had to put the 3/4 plywood and then put a little wedge of wood here to fill in the space for the bevel that it had. So this is done well for this 90-gallon here. And most of the plants here are either silk or plastic because some of these guys here eat everything. The Congo tetra, the Odessa barbs,
They eat plants. I know that for a fact.
yeah, and these guys here, the
Oh, yeah.
Beroncidus tetra. Everything they eat, but this recent one here, this is St. George, Jorge. It may looks like they may be working on some of the tips here, but this plant here reproduces quite quickly. And these are clippings from the discus tank that is back here at the back. And I moved some there and I spread them to all the tanks so far, and they do quite well. So see the plants here, I did not want to mess with this tank. As far as doing the white bottom, the sanded bottom one, but it does well. So again, I don't want to mess with something that is working well. So let me move these things around a little bit here again. Sorry. And this is a 60-gallon tank that is at the kitchen here, right?
That's a
Now
beautiful thing.
this other cabinet here, the one that it came with was also I built this one too. Again, I needed to I put it on legs.
Okay.
They're pretty broad legs. Again, the other one was sorry for any fast camera. The one that it came in, it starts to fall apart quickly. So this one is a mixed barb tank. This angel is huge. Pretty
It's
big
beautiful.
body. Yeah, he's pretty. This is a green, Bulgarian green point something they call it. I forgetting the name right now. So there was another one, long fin one that I have on the other tank. That this one was beating up the other one, so I had to put them separately. Then in the tiger barb, out of all places, he was fine for about a year. It looks like he was getting a little bit sick, and these guys are opportunistic, the tiger barbs. So they started nipping at him. I put them separately. I put them in 3 discus that I was fattening up on purpose, and he started beating up on 3 of them. I said, "Oh my God, the Darth Vader." So I put him with one single. Sorry, I put him with another zebra angel that I had in there, and that one was a female. So the female started following him. Now they made a pair. They're not breeding because I'm not going to let them breed, but they were they're not beating each other because I only keep one. I like to keep one angel per tank because eventually you're going to have issues. And this is the kind of my living room area. This is where most of the tanks are set up. Recently, Joe from Price Tag got one of those, and I think Scotty from Racing Fish is also like the idea, so he's getting one. And this is the area, and you see my Mug of Fame collection here, as I like to call it. So this is some of my channels. I have them, and Joe Price sent me one of those, and here's mine. I got my little fishing figures here, the boats. Oh, and you see back there, those are 2 discs that previously died. I put them in
Acrylic
resin.
or resin. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
resin, yeah. So they've done well. That was let me try this thing. Something that I never did before, but I decided to try that. So that's kind of my discus tank here, and this is overstock for this tank. So I think there's with the 2 breeding pair, or there's one more here they didn't show you. This guy here is in quarantine. Yeah, this one is called they call it white butterfly. This particular, he's pretty. I had a similar one. One of the ones that is in the resin. This one is about 6 inches or so.
So
Okay.
my question is, when are you going to send me some discus?
Man, I'm going to that discus pair that is here, I sent plans the first time I shipped anything. Let me try to get the camera back around. I'm sorry. Boy. Trying to
Oh,
get back. Trying to get
oh,
back the camera around.
you got some
Don't,
beautiful things, my friend.
don't be surprised if I cut myself off again.
That's all right. It happens.
I'm trying to flip the camera. It's not letting me. I'm telling you. All right. There we go.
There we go.
Success.
That is definitely success.
All right. So now I only see me on the screen.
That's all I see is you and me.
All righty. So
You're big and I'm little.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesse said he heard you were going to send him a couple of discus. He said he will trade you a single guppy for a discus. That'd be a damn rip-off trade.
Jesse, you keep your damn guppies. I don't want them. I bought some guppies, but only males because my problem with having anything breed is like, what am I going to do with all those fries? You know that 100 and there's got to be at least 150 crevensis babies went in there. I gave a bunch to my mom. I set up a 29-gallon for her. And I also, I went to one of the local places that I go for fish.
Uh-huh.
And this kid was looking at some tank. I'm saying his kid was probably in his low 30s. And I said, "Do you keep currencies?" I said, "No, I never kept them." I said, "Do you want a bunch?" So I met up with him, some weeks later, and I gave him a bunch. And one of the other people that live near me, one of the followers, one of the subscribers, I offered him a bunch. I'm waiting for these guys to get at least an inch, and I'm going to give them a bunch. But one of the nice things is that recently, where I get most of my discus, I asked one of the guys, does he get picks up anything from local breeders?" And he says, "Oh yeah, the whole row. This is Discus Madness in New Jersey, where I get most of my discus." He said, "Oh yeah, send us a video. He'll do something with you." Most of those, the whole row is all from local breeders, and there were a bunch of small discus he had over there and other stuff. So that'll be nice. That's one way of getting rid of them. If I can breed some discus, I'd love to give some of them away because I don't want to. I certainly don't have the space to keep that much. I tried sending plants. I'm going to try sending fish to some people and see if I kill any of them. But that's a challenge because I've never done it before. I think like most people don't either.
I know Jesse wants some of the Severums I have, and it's got to be when it's warmer outside because they got to grow out. They're small. You know what I mean? So he's going to get some of those. I told Sean, if he was closer, I'd hook him up, But shipping fish across the border to Canada is going to be a little expensive, and they might not make it because of the time they're going to spend in customs.
Yeah, I found out shipping I sent something to Spain, so one of those tours that are in the Spanish group, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those plaques, and I sent them, I think, like a keychain or something else. I think the same thing I sent you, Jim. And it was, I think they told me, I don't know if he actually had to pay over there, but it was just like you saw what it is, a stupid little thing here. And they were he said they probably would ask him to pay taxes in Spain for that. And I said, "Listen, I'll be happy to pay them because I don't want to send you something that you have to pay for." He said, "No, this is no way, Jose. I'll take care of that." And also shipping to Canada was also expensive. The same thing again, but we had to ship stuff across to Canada. They don't allow it. First of all, Canada has been trying for a while. People in Canada with this place where I buy the discus, they said they've tried, but there's just the legal things for whatever reason they're not allowed to ship. But it will be, all these laws and all these things. But anyway, if every place does what works for them.
I can understand.
I said,
I definitely understand.
Yeah, talking to Sean, I was saying I would be happy just to drive. I mean, I like the road trips, as I mentioned before. So even if I drove up to the border, I have to not have to, but probably you have to make probably my 10th or 11th trip to Niagara Falls. It's probably about 7 hours from where I am. And I said, it would be nice to meet up with Sean over there and bring him something across the border because they don't really don't bother you much, whether it's medications or even fish, if they're, they should
Yeah.
survive the trip. But they don't bother you going across the border, it's with something like that, but they don't ask, but just, can I ship it across? That's funny.
Yeah, I'm looking into. I got to get rid of these fish. I've got so many of them. I know there's people that want some of the, like I said, some of the severums I have. I've got to get some electric blue acara, man. I lost all of my electric blue acara.
Oh yeah, you said I heard you before. That's crazy.
I lost over 300 of them.
Yeah, that many. I have 3 of them here. 3 or 2.
I see 2 right there.
Yeah, 2. I lost one of them. He was kind of hiding on a corner, and they usually typical. I didn't separate them early enough. Usually when I see that, I separate them, treat them, they do fine, and then I put them back. But then I just found them. I didn't see him, and he was behind some plant or something. But I thought they're really beautiful. I love the blues and fish, and I thought that they would be aggressive, and not at all.
No, they're very, very, very peaceful.
very peaceful.
So I only have 3 electric blue acara. 2 are juvenile. I have 1 adult left. I have an all acara tank. I've got a 125 that's got the 2 electric blues. It's got 15 yellow bandits and 25 natural blues. I've already got natural blue babies, so.
The natural blues aggressive, or they
Nope, same temperament,
really.
unless they're breeding.
Then that's one of the things why I shy away from certain cichlids because of the aggression. That's something that I find a hard time doing that. But
I would put them in a tank with discus, and they would be just fine.
yeah, no, the distance I'll leave the distance alone only because of the feeding activity.
Yeah,
But I would definitely put more into this one, at least 1 or 2 to replace them. Yeah, I recently 2 of the Rosaline sharks or the Denison barbs. I lost 2 of them recently. Eventually, they get to their to a certain age, and it's just their time. And you lose them periodically. It's not illness. Illness as far as the whole tank. But sometimes they just outlive their days, and then that's it. There's nothing you can do about that.
I had several age out like a week and a half ago. So I want to ask you a question as actually to your profession. So you deal with people who are recovering from full hip replacements, correct?
I do both because actually I did maybe let's say 26 years ago, I was in a mixed surgical unit.
Okay.
And we have the initial first few days until they got home. Right now, I work in a recovery room, but I do a lot of the pre-op stuff, getting them ready to go. And we do have a very large group of orthopedics. So I can see them in pre-op, depending what they move us around. So we have the same unit, pre and post-op. There's 2 recovery rooms, like maybe 26 beds, and then the pre-op side. So we can be fighting one day totally here or half and half. So we do get everybody going in for surgery, but then we get the post-op on that day. Then they either go home or they stay. Most people go home, but I don't long-term, not at this point at least. Earlier I did, but at this point, my current job, I'm not. Once they get past that first day, I don't see them.
So my question to you, for somebody in your profession that's been around it, I know you've been around it for years. I was told that I can never bend past 90 degrees.
That may be a lot, depends on the technique. I'm going to ask one of the surgeons today because it all depends how things are done. I can tell you that when I started recovering from a hip surgery, I'm talking about, this is my 42nd year. I'm talking about maybe 30 to 40 years back. Having a hip replacement was like a pitch, You were the first few days on what they call adduction pillows. So wedge, a triangle wedge between your legs. Your legs were out like this, and you were strapped to these things. We had to turn you on a side to wipe your ass, excuse me. or to do anything that we did, because if you move those hips and brought them together, they will pop out of place. Today, that's not the case. Today, oh, you were in the hospital for days, minimum of a week. Now, to those earlier hips, right? If you needed to sit on the toilet, you needed an extension on the toilet or very high seat because you couldn't have that 90-degree thing. Now with today's surgery, because I don't know about the past 90, but I will certainly ask you because there's enough ortho surgeons that do this a lot, and I'll ask them tomorrow. Tomorrow? Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, tomorrow's
I'll
Monday.
ask you and I'll inform you that I cannot say that I've not heard of it. This is not one of the instructions that we give post-op to people going home. You cannot do this. It's never been in those instructions. So what I'm guessing is that is maybe it's not a thing, depending on how they do it. There's one surgeon, you have the long incision on the side here. There's one
Yes.
surgeon that does a front entry that it is so, this is kind of
It's minimally invasive.
it's very minimally invasive. The way he does it, it is so different the recovery time versus yours, right? Which is
Yeah.
the more traditional long incision on the side. I don't. Some of the surgeons do it that way, but this particular neurosurgeon, he's in his 40s, I would say. He's not a young kid. He's been out of training for a while, but he does his front anterior entry, which is really great, and it makes a difference. The approach makes a difference. Again, going back to older thing, it was really the way some things are done today, and what I've seen the change throughout time in medicine and surgical practices is amazing. Some of the things, again, 30 years back, like laparoscopic surgery, or when they do orthoscopic surgery,
Yeah.
they go with cameras, small incision. That's not something that was like Star Trek shit, you know?
So, I don't have, due to my bone structure, I don't have. So you have the stubby, insert, like the implant, or you have the long one. I have the stubby one.
Yeah, let's not get
It's
personal talking
titanium.
about stubbies now, okay?
Huh?
I said, let's not get personal talking about stubbies now.
Oh no, I have this. I have the stubby hip implant, and I also have the ceramic insert into my the hip, like the pelvis area, where your hip goes into the pelvis. There's
Yeah.
a ceramic insert. That's the one that I have.
Do me a favor, Jim, on text message, regular text message. Send me what they use for you, because I'm going to ask some of the surgeons, this particular one that I'm talking about, because then he'll tell me. Because one of the things that a lot of the people, and when I get some of these comments from the experts, as I said, when my mom comes up with some shit sometime, and I say, Mom, what expert told you that you should do this that way or not that way? Was it the neighbor downstairs, on the lady in the grocery store? Because people, what's for you, Jim, just like it is in fish keeping, what happened with you is not what happens, even if for the same procedure. It's not the same that is going to be for me, because we're different, right? We have different
Yes.
circumstances that got us to where we are now, that we need this particular procedure. So it's very different. And when I always, I mean, so many times I got your message as you came in here. So many times people listen to other people, or often I have to tell people, listen, you have to stop being a Google doctor. Google will give you general information, but you cannot rely on information that you see out there, because that's general stuff. I'll give you a perfect example, which I think we talked about this conversation. I brought it up on the Fiasco at Mexicali one day. We're talking about differences in the way people do things. I had this 84-year woman, American woman, white American woman, very active lady, and she was having a hysterectomy. Her uterus being removed, right? But it was going to be done transvaginal through there, no incision outside, but make an incision, pull everything from below, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, first thing, when I start interviewing this woman, what she tells me is, come hell and high water, if that's the expression correctly, I'm going to a safari to Africa in 30 days, and nothing is going to stop me. And I say, I think you should check with your surgeon, because I don't think that's a good idea, right? Now,
Uh-huh.
this surgeon, GYN doctor, female, I would say she's probably late 30s, but again, I wanted her for my wife, but she only does surgeries, doesn't do like regular GYN stuff. And she tells her the same line, and she said, well, She said, looks at her, she said, Google is wrong. She says, if you were 20, it has nothing to do with fish. I said, if you were 20, I could say maybe, but I could not see you taking a suitcase, putting over a Jeep somewhere in the middle of a jungle, and all your intestines come out through your vagina, right? It happened to one of the nurses who is a young 40 with us. She had the same procedure. She was not doing lifting anything heavy, but we had to send her to the operating room right from work because she had the same procedure. She went back to work and it just happened. You know, she said, you don't heal the same as a 20-year-old would be. So again, this goes back to the differences in your procedure, your age, what your past experience or issues that brought you there were. And it's very different. So listening, you know, people have to be a little smarter sometimes in the sense of you cannot look at internet and expect that everything that you're going to read is factual or you should follow those instructions. It's different. And just always check with your doctor. You know, don't put stuff off because I read something and these symptoms are for this. I said, listen, that symptom it could be a deadly symptoms, and you're thinking that it's flu, or maybe it's something else. So just check with a professional before you decide to take the expert or AKA your neighbor, you know, advice. So I'm going to find out for you, Jim, whether that is just
I appreciate that.
procedure. But I've not heard, and I've been in the surgical area for at least the last 18 years.
Okay.
I have not ever given a patient going home instructions saying you cannot do 90-degree. Neither have I heard a surgeon prior to the surgery, because most of them, they will talk to you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks, do this, to walk, do this, to do that. Yeah. They'll tell them the basic instruction, then we have it in writing for them at discharge. But that's not something that I have not heard today. I heard it 40 years ago, but not
But
recently.
not today.
Yeah. I cannot say that that is true or that it's right or it's wrong. I just have not heard it, at least the way it's being done here. And again, your neighbor who had surgery 40 years ago or 30 years ago, 25 years ago, it is different today.
I know mine is the old school approach through the side. I was sent home the same day. I mean, there's not really any issues with it. Like I said earlier, I'm sore because I pushed myself a little hard yesterday. But you know, this guy, when I went in on when I had the last hip done, he literally told me I'll never be able to cross my legs. I'll never be able to bend 90 degrees. You know, there's so many restrictions, no running, no jogging. I'm like,
Is this
like, why the hell did I have it replaced?
Well, you were in pain.
That's the only reason why. But I mean, he's telling me like I'd never be able to do this again in my life. Like he told me he doubted I'd be able to ride a bicycle. I'm like, man, well, I should have just had him cut the leg off.
He says not even a bicycle?
Yeah. I'm like, if that's the case, you might as well just have him cut my damn leg off. You know?
But to be honest, you know, we have to just adjust as life brings changes to you. If it's living in pain, I mean, I had back surgery a while ago, and for 10 years, I was just in a lot of pain until finally I had to get it done. And I tell you, it's like immediately 3 hours later, I was home. And I said, why didn't I get this done before? This pain was gone. And
I have zero hip pain. No hip pain. There's no pain there.
And, you know, if I have to be living in pain versus not being able to run or ride a bicycle, not that I do anyway, but, you know, it's like you have to just put things in a balance, you know, pain or riding a bicycle or doing something else. But it may have been the approach that you had done or the way it was done, because some of these things, from what I've seen, I have not heard those things recently from a surgeon to a patient.
Yeah, I think hey, welcome in, Renee.
Yeah, hello,
welcome
Renee.
In, Rob's.
Renee, Rob's Aquarium.
Yeah, welcome in. We got the Aquatic News Network is back. He was eating dinner. That's Tommy, by the way. Silver Creek Aquatics. Or Resident Alien. That's Tommy. He's back. But yeah, you know, I don't like people telling me that I can't do something, because I'm going to be honest with you. I can go in there right now. I have an exercise bike. I'll get my big ass on it, and I probably can ride it.
You could probably do it because you're sitting at 90 or less degree. I mean not less, but 90 or greater. So I don't see what harm you can do, but you certainly check it out. Let me see. Somebody here, give me a second. I didn't have him before, so I sub to Rob's Aquarium. I sub to your channel. I had not seen him before in any other chats, but I
It makes
think
two of us.
everybody on the chat here, that's someone I subscribe to them and I follow them. But I'm sorry, anybody haven't said hello. And it's hard to stay with the conversation and be looking at the chat.
Oh, absolutely. I understand that. I think I've seen Renee one time,
No,
and he's
you mean in your chats?
yeah, one time in my live stream.
Yeah, Renee's a regular in a lot of the chats, depending on, but sometimes, I try to be supportive as I can and my time allows us, so I tend to be kind of all over the place as I see people pop up. I don't always see the lives or they're not, I'm just looking at my tablet here for some of the people in comments. I try to just be supportive and listen, even people who are out of my interest, like I was for a while, for more than an hour, I was with the chat. I think they're mostly Australian or UK. Sometimes the accent, I get slightly confused. But they have other critters, spiders, snakes, and things that I normally would not keep. That doesn't mean I don't like watching them or learning about them, but I wouldn't keep them necessarily. And some of them were not fish keepers, so it's good to
Yeah.
watch. I've been also watching at time going to Lance. I think it's BBQ. Forgot this title. Lance is sleeper BBQ or something. I forgot the title of it. So I've been going to his lives also, and they're talking mostly food, and we eat also. We don't really keep fish, right? So it's fun watching other people, and it's certainly listening to different point of views, especially in our community, right?
Oh man, Jose, you will see a segment on endangered pupfish tomorrow morning. Spoiler alert! Oh no, we got a spoiler alert, guys.
Oh, that's for
The Aquatic News Network.
always looking out for his. There's always looking. Okay, let me see. Endangered pupfish. Which one is a pupfish? Is that a sea? Is that a marine?
I think it's a marine fish, I believe.
I heard the name. I think I remember vaguely the fish.
Oh wow, that's a cute little thing. It's
Can you share screen? I can.
let me see
Well,
if I
can look it up on my tablet.
present screen sharing. Hopefully this is the right one.
I see something. Estamos finito. No. Todavía estoy bien. This is good. Es un vasito de vino.
Para que lo busque en internet.
No, yeah, he got. Oh, that's beautiful. Is it a blue one?
Yes.
That is beautiful. See, I told you my
Freshwater.
favorite color is blue. Is that marine or is it freshwater? It looks like
Freshwater.
freshwater.
Yeah, I mean it's a decent looking little fish.
Yeah.
So.
It's very pretty.
Renee says they work in the healthcare field as well.
What is this one barking at now? Sorry.
Well, man, I have about exceeded the amount of time that my ass can withstand this chair.
All right. So I understand that. So I think we had a nice chat. I hope it was good.
I enjoyed it. I'm going to have you back again. We'll discuss some other things.
I hope that it was as good for me as it was for you, right?
Oh, man, I enjoyed every minute of it. I appreciate you being here.
Look what
I appreciate you.
look what my wife brings me here. I probably have one a year, maybe a little bit of wine. It's sweet. I've never been drunk, so I'm not a good drunk. I don't know what kind of a drunk I'll be. But
no.
that's the wine. 2 beers, I feel it, and I stop.
It's only one beer.
Yeah, I'm a 1 beer.
Oh, so you're a cheap date, huh?
Absolutely. When I go back home, I may have a local beer, 1 or 2, the smaller one, not the big. They have these big giant ones. I may have 1 or 2, but at 2 I feel the buzz already, and I stop there. Well, Tommy, I'm looking forward to that article. I like that fish. It's pretty.
I am waiting. I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. No, baby, American. I'm looking forward to seeing it tomorrow. It's coming out in the morning. I'm pretty sure it's going at 8 a.m.
Oh,
on the
hey,
Aquatic
sorry.
News Network. It's gonna be a good one. Anything you want to say to the chat before we roll out of here?
Yeah, thank you for coming, looking at two dudes with gray hair, one more than the other, talking about fish and other nonsense. But I thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you, Jim. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for being here.
Always happy to chat with friends. Okay, and I thank you, all of you, for coming
There you
on.
go. I appreciate everybody being here. You guys enjoy your night, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and remember, it's your hobby. Do it your way.
Absolutely.